Good afternoon and top of the day to you. In 1914, the nation Nigeria was birthed when Lord Lugard amalgamated the Southern and Northern Protectorate. Later, it turned out we got our independence in 1960. A few years later on, a war broke out in Nigeria, led by a privileged Nigerian young man, Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu. Later on, the war ended and it was declared no victor, no vanquish. But later on, Igbos felt cheated and problems consisted. The same Odumegwu Ojukwu asked the Igbos to forget about the dream called Nigeria. But a certain man, Waziriki, rose up with the name Biafra again. We kept hearing about Biafra and the unity in Nigeria. And now, we are hearing about a certain seemingly immortal young man called Mazi that is now giving problem in Nigeria. Well, again, after all the efforts that Nigeria has been putting into fighting corruption, the president pardoned 2 certified ex-governors that are confirmed criminals. What does that mean? And what does that portend for the fight against injustice and criminality in Nigeria? Well, I have with me Mr. Matthew Uluku to do justice to all these issues.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Mr. Matthew, I want to ask, are the Igbos, particularly Nnamdi Kanu, is his fight for Biafra just to gain a ticket or a shot as Asu Rock for the Igbos, given that most Igbos and that are politically influential, they are not saying anything about it?
Okay, thank you for having me once more. My name is Oluku Matthew. Looking at the Biafra agitation, looking at Nigeria as an entity, I'm looking at whether an Igbo presidency will assuage the Igbos to jettison the agitation for a sovereign state of Biafra. For me, I think I will look at it from 2 different perspectives.
Okay.
One, you have the political class who will be persuaded by an Igbo presidency. To the political class who feel marginalized, though I share that belief as well, because if you look at the ethno-religious imbalance that gave rise to civil war, you discover that so many years after the civil war it has not been addressed. I will come back to that later. Then the political class will feel persuaded if you give an Igbo man a president. But for the people who actually have genuine intention for the agitation, I think they will not settle for an Igbo presidency. Rather, the only thing that will assuage their mind if there is a complete restructure as an alternative to giving them through their own sovereignty.
Okay, very recently, the former Commonwealth Secretary General Emeka Anyaku spoke about Nigeria returning to true federalism. What does true federalism mean to the ordinary Igbo man that will make him stop the fight and the call for Biafra?
Okay, look at it from this perspective. If you see, like America, for instance, they'll call it United States of America. In Nigeria, what we have is a federal system that is faulty. If you want to run a true federalism, you divulge power to the federating units.
Yeah.
Whoever is occupying the position at the helm of affairs or the president is only ceremonial in nature. That notwithstanding, there are some aspects of the economy, of the polity that you leave for the presidency. Let's say the issue of security, you leave it for the presidency.
But if they leave presidency,
I mean
security to the federating unit, with what we are seeing, don't you think the governors will abuse it? With what we are seeing
what
already.
I'm trying to say in essence is, I'm not saying leave the whole power of security with the presidency.
Yes.
Because currently that is the status quo. what we are saying is that divulge some power, but to pretend over the whole security architecture. Because currently what we have is a situation where the command and control comes from Abuja. So that if you have an issue in Lagos, for instance,
Oga the top,
the commissioner of police in the state reports to the IG of police, who in turn reports to the national security advisor. National security advisor is directly reporting to Mr. President. So you see that chain of the command and control. You recall the other time there was an issue in Lagos State where the executive governor, who go by the name of governor and chief security officer of the state, was at Magodo. And here you have some policemen who came from Abuja under the instruction and directive of the Attorney General of the Federation to enforce a court order.
Injunction, yeah.
Even as the governor was trying to make the police realize that I am the chief security officer of the state and I'm here, I demand that you vacate the vicinity. They insisted that they were taking directive from
above,
yes, from their superior, and that the governor may decide to call their superior. What am I trying to say in essence? That the governor do not command a fly, just like Jonah Jank said as a governor, that he himself as a governor, that he do not command a fly. So what we are saying is, if you divert power, since the governors go by the name of governor and chief security officer of the state, allow them parade some security power. Even at the local government level, allow them parade some security power, because all crime is local. So if you incorporate the locals into the security architecture, you achieve more success. Because if you look at intelligence gathering, DSS that is saddled with the responsibility of intelligence gathering, there is little or nothing they could do if they are not collaborating, synergizing with the locals. So that's what I'm saying, that if you look at the ethno-religious imbalances that gave rise to civil war, it have not been addressed so many years after the civil war. But for the political class, if you give an Igbo man the presidency, they will feel relaxed.
But
because you know the policy they say is the madness of many for the benefit of few. So by the time they start sharing who gets what, those political gladiators will get their own, they will be satisfied. Because if you look at Nigerian politicians, they're only there because of their pecuniary interests, not because they want to bring development of democracy to the people like you see in other developed world.
Okay, but most analysts and Nigerians see the issue why the Hausa man, the Yoruba man, has not deemed it fit that an Igbo man should ascend the throne of presidency is because Igbo people themselves, they cannot be trusted, and they don't even trust themselves.
I think it is an erroneous impression. That is my own opinion about it. I will still buttress with reasonable facts. Let's cast our mind back when Jonathan was the president of this country. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, he gave an Igbo man the chief of army staff.
Ijirika.
And by all indication, you understand, you agree with me that the chief of army staff controls all the military force in Nigeria, though he reports to the president. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, if he is not interested in the project of Nigeria, a chief of army staff can
make or break
the
president.
Government. So since we have seen a chief of staff from an Igbo extraction, he occupied that position for up to 3, if not 4 years, and he didn't call for separation of Nigeria, he didn't seize power. I think that to an extent have invalidated the idea from that school of thought that Igbo man cannot be trusted with position of authority of the office of the presidency.
All right. Well, let's just deviate a little bit. This is PDP, this is APC, and everybody talking about a breath of fresh air should come in, and they're asking for youthful candidates. Every finger seems to point at Peter Obi towards the east. Do you think the man called Atiku Abubakar, who is also now in PDP, we don't really know his political party, but every day he wakes up to different parties, will it not be better for Atiku to support and finance Obi's presidency?
Okay. You see this question you ask. If you look at the Nigerian political space now, we have 2 major leading political parties: the ruling All Progressive Congress and the opposition People's Democratic Party. If you look at PDP, this is a party that has been in power for 16 years. and for another close to 8 years they are in opposition. So by all purpose and intent, their interest is to ensure that they return to power. But if you look at who is more justified, and the region that is more justified to occupy Asu Rock by way of the presidency, I think is the Southeast. Because if you look at, though there is no zoning in the constitution,
yes,
there is no relevant section of the constitution that says that a particular geographical zone will produce the presidency come 2023.
Yeah.
But that notwithstanding, we can understand that the South have produced the president under two different arrangements. Obasanjo was there from the Southwest. Jonathan was there from the South-South. If you go to the North, they have had opportunity of occupying the seat of power severally.
The majority.
Yar'Adua was there. Buhari is now there. I'm talking of since we return to this nascent democracy. Now, looking at if the power is to come to the South, just like I said earlier on that there's no, if they zero in on the Southeast, what is the possibility of winning in the general election? I think they are in a very big dilemma. And if you look at the position of the South and Southeastern governors, PDP members, you understand that they are putting pressure on PDP to zone the presidency to the Southeast.
Yeah.
And PDP is wary of, if they zone it to the Southeast and a P2B, who is a credible candidate anyway, picks it, what is the guarantee that if APC gives their candidature to a Southwesterner, that the North will not form an alliance with a Southwesterner rather than forming an alliance with a Southeasterner?
Yeah.
So, and PDP wants to return to power. So you see that it's a very Herculean task for PDP. They are without a crossroad. But from what I can understand, PDP is being careful because their utmost interest is to return to power. But again, I think it's unfortunate that we are discussing PDP and APC, because for me, they are birds of the same feather. Because the situation where somebody will sleep in PDP and wake up in APC, yeah, and you tell me there's no credibility. All you see, their driving force is their pecuniary interest, personal aggrandizement. Nobody is there because he wants to better the life of anybody or because of dividends of democracy like see in a civilized society. So it's unfortunate that we are debating on of course, PDP and APC, there is no better alternative.
All right. I want to ask a question now. We saw when the Senate presidency was given to the Southeast, and in between the Southeast senators, they were fighting and taking each other out for who will be the next Senate president. They did not allow anyone to sit and enjoy his tenure, carry out their plan as a Senate president. So now, if PDP or APC should zone their presidential ticket to the Southeast, will the wranglings inside the Southeast not rob the Southeast of the opportunity?
I don't think so. The reason is not far-fetched. I don't think so, because if you look at, if PDP is to zone the presidency to the Southeast, and all you have is Southeastern aspirants, because you are only an aspirant until you are made victorious in the primary. Yeah, that's when you become the candidate of the party. So if you have 5, 4, 3, as the case may be, aspirants from the Southeastern part of the country, and they go into primary, if they're only the one engaged in the primary, eventually a Southeasterner will emerge as a candidate of the party. It would have been a better arrangement if APC was to zero in on Southeast. So that at the end of the day, APC will have a Southeastern candidate and PDP have a Southeastern candidate. Going by that arrangement, at the end of the day, and a Southeastern person will eventually become the president of Nigeria. But with the present situation, it's unlikely that APC will produce a Southeastern person as a candidate.
But above all of this, should we at this 21st century be talking about zone, or be talking about the credibility of the person coming to run for presidency?
To be quite honest with you, in a civilized society, nobody discusses about where the president is from. Because you look at the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what it tells you is that somebody who is educated up to this secondary school level is eligible to contest.
The cheapest. Meanwhile, when you look for honorary supervisor job in a factory, they'll ask you to go and bring PhD.
But that is the correct state of things in terms of qualification to contest. Then it tells us that you have to win majority votes and 25% of two-third majority of the states, which is about 24 states. So you have to score 25% in at least 24 states, in addition to having majority votes. So these are expressly stated in the Constitution. These are what qualifies an individual to become a candidate and eventually emerge winner in the general election. But unfortunately, we are finding ourselves in an environment where people feel it's better my earthly person is occupying the seat of power. And unfortunately, the northern part of the country, they were the one that brought about this situation. Don't forget that before the proliferation of state universities, the Nigerian government or Nigerian system have a system that even when that's when you want to gain admission into tertiary institution, there's a quota system.
Yes.
To the extent that if somebody from a candidate from Lagos scores 250, for instance, for a particular course, and the best, let's say the best 1,000 in Lagos is scoring 250 as a point.
Yeah.
And the best in Kano, for instance, is scoring 120. And if they are taking 100 per state, once they take the best 10, best 100 from Lagos, irrespective of whether the other best
scored 120,
maybe 900 score above people from the north, they will take the best 100 from the north, from Jigawa, from Katsina, as the case may be. So they are the one that created this, and if you look at it, it promotes mediocrity above meritocracy. And the north is the one that started this issue. Look at all the appointments of Mr. President. He will tell you that it is based on merit. And you and I know that if you are looking at merit, there is no way you find people who merit position in the north more than the south, because these are people who gain admission to high tertiary institutions at the expense of the southern part of the country.
Yes.
Now you'll be given an appointment, you'll be shouting merit. So I think that best explains the reason they start to say, okay, let us have a shot at the presidency, saying it has become
let us go away.
The issue is this: if you look at the current status quo, Nigeria is not working. That is the truth. Because Nigeria is supposed to be a sovereign state.
Why will you say Nigeria is not working?
It's not working because the constitution is very emphatic on the primary purpose of governance, which is security of the welfare of Nigerians and the security of Nigerians. The constitution is explicit about it. It's unambiguous about it. Currently, as we speak, Nigerians, their welfare is not being taken care of. Security is a major issue. As we speak, you have about 168 Nigerians in captivity under Nigerian sovereignty. And you have a president that go by the name of President and Commander of the Armed Forces. You have the Chief of Army Staff, Naval Staff, Air Staff, Director of GSS, Chief of Defense Staff,
IG,
National Security Advisor, IG of Police. They go with retinue of aides. And you have Nigerians, taxpayers, in captivity. And the government cannot make any effort to rescue them. We cannot forget in a hurry how American government came to Sokoto State to rescue a 27-year-old Philip Wanton who was kidnapped in Niger Republic, taken to Sokoto. That is what you call a sovereign state.
Just one person.
Yes. But here in Nigeria, as we speak, these people were traveling on a government-owned rail line, Nigerian Railway Corporation, and terrorists attacked the train on the road. And as we speak, you have 168 Nigerians in captivity. It's quite unfortunate.
All right. We're just going to take a few comments from our people online. I think Igbos want total break from the union that has done nothing. That has done nothing only for them than suppressing hardworking Nigerians. This is a statement from a pained Nigerians. What do you have to say? Is it pained? They have done nothing. Igbos have not earned anything or gained anything from Nigeria.
To be quite honest with you, the Igbos are seriously marginalized. I will give you an instance. Under this current administration, you understand that if you look at the security positions, you have about 17. From the office of the National Security Advisor to the office of the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, IG of Police, Director of DSS, National Intelligence Agency, Drug Law Enforcement Agency, what is it called? Is it the Civil Defense Corps? There are about 17. As we speak, there is no Igbo man among the head of the agencies, paramilitary.
Wow.
So under that scenario, are you not giving the people an impression that they don't belong to this country? Would that not make people to start agitating for sovereign state of Biafra? Quite agreed. The other time, Mr. President made a good step where he recognized that some people who fought on the side of Biafra during the Civil War needed to be compensated. That was a good move. And he went further to recognize the son of Ojukwu by making him the Secretary General of what's it called, this organization, National Human Rights Commission. So these were supposed to be a right step in the right direction. He needed to do more. But as we speak, there are so many
have
issues.
the Igbos done enough to deserve more opportunities?
I don't understand what they mean doing enough, because Nigeria's sovereign state do not even encourage anybody to do anything for Nigeria. Because if you look at it as we speak, the power generation is abysmally low. And the only way you can guarantee a sustainable economy is when you have sustainable power supply. Successive government, whether PDP, APC, they are afraid Nigerians. With all the billions of naira spent on power generation, distribution, transmission and distribution in Nigeria, as we speak, we can only transmit just 4,500 megawatts. This government came in, and before they came in, I could remember Fashola was emphatic that a serious government need only 6 months to fill the issue of power. In the first term of Mr. President, he made Fashola the Minister of Works and Housing and Power. 4 years after, he could not fix the issue, the problem.
After promising 6 months.
So you see, you cannot blame Nigerians for not doing much. Because you go look at Nigerians when they travel outside this country. Look at how they do exploits. It will interest you to know that the breakthrough in COVID-19 vaccine, a Nigerian graduate, a medical doctor who graduated from one of the Nigerian schools in the South, that is University of Calabar, is one of the persons that led to the discovery of COVID-19 vaccine. So it is not that the Nigerians are not talented, or they don't have potential, or they don't have what it takes to develop those potentials, but the system does not permit here in Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Matthew, brain drain is another issue, inequality is another issue. But what I want us to talk about now, a government that came in and promised every Nigerian that they are surely going to fight against anti-corruption. After the authorized anti-graft agency convicted 2 former governors of stealing public funds, this present government said it consulted at the highest level and it decided to grant them state pardon. When some Nigerians are wallowing in different prisons for just stealing 1,000, 5,000 from their bosses without state amnesty, what does that say of the promise of anti-corruption from APC?
To be quite honest with you, this government came in with the mantra of anti-corruption. This government came in with promise to fight corruption. And if you look at the pardon of Inyame, the former governor of Taraba State, and Jonah Jang, the former governor of Plateau State, is quite unfortunate. Because this, to an extent, have demoralized the anti-graft agency, the personnel. Because if you look at the resources involved, the time involved in prosecuting these two ex-criminals, you can no longer call them criminals because they have been pardoned. You see that the Mr. President abused that prerogative of mercy. Quite agreed, you have the right to give amnesty going by the constitution. So what you have done is legal. But if you look at the reasons he adduced, you see that there are 40. One, he said on head ground and head ground. You will find out that one of them is 62, the other one is 64.
Which the president is older than them.
Of course. And he still tells us that he have energy to serve. As we speak, go and look at the leading candidates in APC and PDP, they are both 60. So how can you be telling me that somebody who is 64 years, 62 years, do not have the energy to serve J10? I think it's politically motivated and it's condemnable. Mr. President have exposed himself as a lover of corruption.
What does it portend for APC opportunities in the forthcoming election?
APC have no, if election is to be free and fair, to be quite honest with you, APC have no future in 2023. Because you see a party that has squandered all the goodwill they came in with. Mr. President, the way it stands, he has squandered all his goodwill. This is somebody who came in, he was regarded as incorruptible, as somebody who will fight corruption, as a no-nonsense personnel. But today, you cannot say the same thing of Mr. President. People who hitherto defended him in the court of public opinion, you no longer find them because he has squandered all the goodwill. Is he the ability to fight insecurity? Don't forget that in 2015, in his inaugural speech, he directed the then chief of the army staff in the person of Brutai to permanently relocate to Meduguri until Boko Haram is completely subdued. Under his watch, Brutai watch, we saw ISWAP. We saw Boko Haram operating with more tenacity with the adoption of Dapchi school girls,
gaining more grounds,
and we saw another aspect of terrorism. We saw how a Fulani movement that go by the way of Fulani nationality movement attempted assassination on a sitting governor. Under this present administration, we are seeing bandits, or rather terrorists, trying to assassinate a sitting deputy governor. So where is the goodwill? Is it on the economy? So I don't know any area you can look to and you say Mr. President have actually recorded success. Just like Reverend Cook has said, that everything in Nigeria have crumbled. That the only thing that is thriving is corruption. Is it in the area of the economy? Is it in the oil and gas sector, where as we speak, a liter of kerosene is selling for 600 naira per liter? Aviation fuel is well over 700 naira per liter. I don't know, I don't understand which area of the economy you can look up to. As we speak, diesel is selling more than 800 per liter.
Okay, now, can the man, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who all of us know orchestrated the birth of Buhari, has the right to come out and say he is the Messiah that will deliver Nigeria from all this quagmire?
You see, it's very difficult to start discussing an individual. But what I can categorically tell you is that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is one of the brains behind the emergence of Muhammadu Buhari. And for me, I think he would have done better by advising the president as going concern. Coming out to tell us now that you cannot blame the youth for failure, for being lazy. I think it's coming rather too late. I think he's playing to the gallery. Because when Mr. President made that assertion, he needed to address it and nip it in the bud. So why is it that he needed to wait until he seek the election before he start telling Nigerians that you don't need to blame Nigerian youths for being lazy? For me, though, I didn't believe that Nigerians are lazy, just that the Nigerian government doesn't know, they are not doing the right thing. Because if you look at Nigeria as a sovereign state, Nigerians as human beings created by God, God said we are wonderfully and fearfully made. There is no discrimination when God is speaking. When God was saying that we are wonderfully and fearfully made, he was not referring to only the white. He was talking about all mankind. So the same way God gave the Americans, the Britain, the Polish, name it, potentials, the same way he gave Nigerians.
Potentials.
That is why you see Nigerians go outside the country, they do exploits.
Because of an enabling environment.
Yes, this environment. Because in a civilized society, in an environment where, okay, look at what is happening currently. A situation where government has refused to fund education. And at the same time, government is financing, I'm not saying it's wrong anyway, to finance subsidy. But the money they claim to be using to finance subsidy is not true. Because before 2015, we were made to understand that we are consuming between 35 to 40 million liters of PMS. Under lockdown during COVID-19, we were made to understand that we consume average of 50 million liters of PMS a day. Currently, the government tells us that we are consuming 70 million liters of PMS per day. It is quite not true. And you see government paying subsidy on the basis of these figures. And somebody will see somewhere to tell you that they are not disbursing 400 billion to resolve the issue of ASU strike. We are talking about their welfare, their package, to develop that, to have the capacity to do research, which is area that make university to strive.
All right, Mr. Matthew, we have been talking about political inefficiency, economic inefficiency, but what it truly boils down to, it affects the family. And right now, we want to talk about an issue that borders on the Nigerian's family, the serenity in the family and the secrecy of the family. How old should the child get before you can give that child a gift of a smartphone?
Thank you for the question. Let me start from the point of the Constitution. The Constitution is abundantly clear about who is an adult. If you're up to 18 years, you're an adult. Otherwise, you're a juvenile. So to that extent, before you can have a right state of mind to take decision on your own, that person should be up to 18 years. But if you look at the trend of things currently, you discover that at 10, 11, 12, children are already exposed to social media, exposed to devices that give them access to social media. And that in itself is exposing them to different activities, whether deviant or norm or the norms of the society. But again, I think it's a function of our value system. Because if you look at it from psychological point of view, it tells that the newly born child, that his brain is a tabula rasa, on which the caretaker writes anything he or she wishes to write. So whatever the child grows up to become is a function of what is written in his or her brain. So by the time you give a child who have not gotten to the stage of being able to discern what is right or wrong, you give that child access to internet, you have exposed that child to danger. And more so as the child is not being regulated on what he or she does on the internet. So most of the deviant activities you see children indulging in our modern society is a function of being exposed to internet when they are not yet matured to have independent mind.
But an internet is not totally a devil's field, because from that internet the child's mind develops faster. He begins to learn faster, new method of learning, easier ways of learning, and then it makes them smarter. Don't you look at it from that perspective?
If I'm to look at it from that perspective, I should be asking you a simple question. A child who has access to a device that gives access to internet, and knows how to go to Google, and in the process of surfing internet stumbles on pornographic pictures, maybe porn, and decide to start watching it, how do you determine what that child is doing with that device? So what I'm trying to say is in as much as it's good to expose the children, because the era we are is an internet world. The world is already a global village. So in as much as it's good to expose them to have knowledge of all these social media on time, while you do it, there should be a process in place to check what they are doing from time to time, in order not to derail from the norms of the society.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Is it about the issue of Nigeria, economy and politics, about family, about our personal lives? It all boils down to personal responsibility. And the biggest responsibility we have in our hands right now, elections are coming. Ensure you get registered and get your PVC, so your voice will finally be heard and you don't sit at home complaining they are mad, they are mad, they are mad, they are stealing. Well, we've come to the end of Pundit on Flip TV this week. My name remains Odu Black, and so many thanks to my brother and friend Mr. Matthew Luku. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
All right, love and subscribe our channel and share as well. Bye for now.